Hey everyone, it's Argonath here from Return of the Fan, and all of you Dune fans out there, looks like Dune's having a pretty good opening in the domestic US box office, so might be looking good for maybe a sequel in the works later on. That would be pretty awesome. Dune shifting between 30 million and 32 million opening weekend, Friday midday box office update. So this is from Deadline. So updated Friday midday. So currently, legendary Warner Bros. Dune is seeing Friday between 16 million to 17 million at 4,125 theatres, including last night's previews, which means a domestic opening between 30 to 32 million, which is going to be the estimating that's what it's going to be. While rival studios have it much higher at 40 million plus, understand that the unpredictable nature of the gross is deciphering how front-loaded its Friday is, as well as the HBO Max availability of it all. So that's another thing to keep into account when we talk about the opening for Dune, is that in the domestic box office, it's a day and date screening on HBO Max, right? So people might not go to the theatre and watch it on HBO Max instead. But if you do have the chance of seeing it in the theatre, apparently it is a big screen movie. So you need to see it on the big screen, because apparently it's absolutely beautiful, stunning. Whatever you think of the movie itself, to take in the real awesomeness of the cinematography and so on, you really need to see it on the biggest screen possible. So if you can go to an IMAX theatre, that would be even better. So IMAX ticket sales are leading the charge for Dune, looking at 22 to 24% of the market share. Anything above Godzilla vs. Kong's 31.6 million opening weekend means it's a record domestic debut for Warner Brothers during the pandemic, and the top start of the day and date HBO Max release. Anything north of 32.8 million means it's a record opening for director Denis Villeneuve. So that would be pretty awesome. Solid post-track for Dune so far with 4 stars out of 5. So males are out in force at 62% and 72% over 25. It's got the diversity demos there, but I'm not really too worried about that. We're all human people in the end. A global gross at the end of the day north of 300 million for legendary Warners will make them content, even if it's not at break even. So yeah, that probably needs a bit more to actually become break even. But you know, as it says in the article, let's be realistic. How many movies are really profiting in this current marketplace? Well, I think in the US a lot of people aren't too worried about going outside, going to movies, going to sports. Just look at all the sports stadiums and that, which are completely filled with people, right? So I don't think that really holds up too much these days. If people want to go and see a movie in the theatre, they will. You just need to make sure it's a good movie. That's what we want to see. Warner Media Brass told Deadline in a sit-down on Wednesday that it will be some years before they release the viewership data on how their fare strictly does on HBO Max. That's a bit disappointing. Some years? Geez, that's a long time to wait. That's a bit annoying. Global growth is needed before there is an industry apples-to-apples measurement. A sequel to Dune is for certain, and Warner Bros. Executives will evaluate this weekend's success not just in global ticket sales, but also how the movie does on HBO Max. A sequel to Dune is for certain. I haven't really seen anything which says it's certain. I've seen another article which says that it's very likely. So that's interesting. So hopefully it does get a sequel, because we really want to see what the end of the Dune story actually is. And it probably needs a few more movies to tell the complete story. New Line's Mortal Kombat owns the title as the most watched theatrical HBO Max film in debut weekend with 3.8 million US households, followed by Legendary's Godzilla vs. Kong with 3.6 million over 5 days. Warner Media has told us, without providing numbers, that Godzilla vs. Kong was the most watched first weekend for a theatrical title on HBO Max. So in second place this weekend in the domestic box office in the US is Halloween Kills with 5 million second Friday, down 78%. Ooh, that's a big drop on your second week. And a second weekend of 15.8 million, off 68%, for a 10-day total of 74.4 million. So that's probably not too bad for Halloween. I'd assume it's not a huge big budget movie or anything, so it should be able to make its money back pretty easily, I would say. And remember, that's just the domestic box office, it does include the international. No Time to Die is in its third weekend with 4 million today, a minus 44% drop for the third weekend. Not too bad actually for a second to third weekend drop. That's pretty good. And it's got did 14 million, and a running total by end of Sunday of 122 million at the domestic box office. Now remember, No Time to Die is much bigger internationally. It's about 3 times bigger as the domestic gross, so it's very close to breaking 500 million if it hasn't broken it already. So that's doing really well, but it needs a lot. I think it needs between maybe 600 to 800 million dollars just to break even for No Time to Die, because it's been pushed back so many times. So that's quite interesting. All right, anything else that's interesting? Not really. That's really it for the update for Dune's box office. Things are looking good. It's looking good that it could get a sequel, which is awesome. We'll have to wait and see how it does on HBO Max. But it looks like we're going to have to wait a long time before we know how well it actually does, which is disappointing. Have you been to see Dune yet? It hasn't been released in New Zealand where I am. And even if it did, I'm in lockdown, so I wouldn't be able to go and see it anyway. So I'm desperately waiting to go and see it. Can't wait, in fact. If you have seen it, no spoilers, but let me know what you think in the comments section. I'd love to know. And what do you think of the chances of getting a sequel to Dune? And would you like to see a sequel of Dune? Let me know in the comments section. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, you're welcome to give me a thumbs down. And if you like my content, please subscribe. It just helps my content to be noticed by the YouTube algorithm. And hopefully I will catch you in the next video.